Let's talk about Heat culture. Let's talk about the Miami Heat, the team that works harder than anybody else, the only team that has fitness standards. Let's take a look at their upcoming season. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and picture taking is not allowed at this particular resort. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to fanduel.com right now to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. We're talking about the Miami Heat, first of all. Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl still going. We've got 10 spots left in the Draft and Stash League, which at the moment is the only available league. I anticipate there will be more leagues available this week, but I want that one filled out first. And then we'll get the others going. It is a Roto League. All you do is set lineups twice a week. That is it. Long draft, test your knowledge. Get in that, and then we'll release others if we get that done in time. The QR's on the screen, the link is in the description, and it is linktree/LOFB Bowl. We're talking about the Heat for this upcoming season as we go through these team-specific previews, interspersed with mock drafts and busts and sleeper-type shows, as I'm sure you're all well aware by now. So let's take a look at this Miami squad, where we did get some updated injury news, which is always good in a way. Like, the good part is getting the news versus, hey, opening night or midway through preseason, something happens. Like, we got an idea now about this Tyler Herro injury situation, which changes a lot. Because I would have taken Herro in round 3 of almost any draft, honestly, and I won't now because of the injury that's going to keep him out to begin the season. To me, I'd look more in the 70s for him. We'll talk more about him later. Let's have a look at my predicted or projected rotation for the Heat, and I'm not sure. I am including Tyler Herro in the starting group here, and my projected starting group is Herro, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Little Chungus, Nikola Jovic, and Bam Adebayo. You'll notice that I don't have Kel-el Ware there. If I did this tomorrow, I probably would have Kel-el Ware there, because I just don't really know how Spoelstra is going to do this with Jovic versus Ware in that situation. As for Herro, in that spot, I think that when he is out to begin the season, it will undoubtedly, maybe not undoubtedly, but I'm pretty sure it'll be Davion Mitchell there. The other guys I've got in the rotation are Mitchell, Ware. Now, I guess Terry Rozier could jump into that spot instead of Davion Mitchell, but we saw how terrible he was and how out of favor he was last season. So I do think that the only change is that lineup will be Mitchell starting in place of Herro and maybe Ware starting in place of Jovic. But this is Erik Spoelstra, a coach who changes things and changes his mind so many different times during the season. One of the best coaches, if not the best in the NBA, who I think has been let down at times by his front office, but I think some of his coaching, he's not perfect. He will make mistakes. And I think sometimes he does with his rotation. So I've got Mitchell and Ware in the rotation group. Rozier, I've got Pelle Larsson there. Simone Fontecchio to take the Duncan Robinson role, remembering that Spoelstra loved starting Duncan Robinson until he didn't. And then he fell back in love with him, and then he didn't. And then he'd fall back in love with him, and then he didn't. But Fontecchio is that sort of replacement. And the other guy there who I've got as the 11th man is that Jaime Jaquez Jr., who, Triple H, I don't know. Again, everyone's well aware of my position on him. I was very tepid on him at the start of his career. That was, I think, incredibly accurate, which is one of the W's that I have. I have plenty of L's, don't worry. There's lots of things that I'm wrong on. But now, does Jaquez even play every night? Is he better than Larson, Rozier, Fontecchio, Mitchell? I don't know. He can't shoot. I think he's one of those guys that at times can ramp up with enough usage, but you don't want him to have that usage. And part of the success that he has had in those past seasons where people were getting overly excited about Jaquez was because there were just a lot of guys out and the ball had to be put into his hands, and he was really solid early on, and then it didn't work out. I might as well put some of his numbers up from last season because I don't think we're going to be talking about Jaquez much more after this. But Jaime in year 2, again, he is an older second-year player. This is his third year coming up. He's 24. He had 20 usage. He averaged 8 points. He shot 31 from 3. He was outside the top 200 in points leagues and in category leagues. No assists, really. No, didn't hit threes. Didn't have defensive stats. He was just bad all around. So I would argue that Mitchell, Ware, Rozier, Larson, and Fontecchio could get shots ahead of him. Even first-round rookie Kasparas Yakushonis or someone like Drew Smith could find minutes over Jaquez as well. The Heat are a weird team, and there's going to be lots of chopping and changing, I think, from Spoelstra this season, as he nearly always does. So what are the other projection questions we have about this team? Well, to me, the number one thing at the moment is Ware versus Jovic, because there are a lot of ways to look at this. Yes, the Heat did just sign the big sneeze Precious Achiuwa. Part of the thing with Ware, and I didn't really know how their lineup would go, is they didn't have a backup center. Now, you could argue whether you think Achiuwa is a 4 or a 5. I think he's an undersized backup 5. I think that's the spot that you want Precious playing in, but you could also argue that he is a guy that plays as a 4, even though he can't really shoot. Ware versus Jovic is the big question here. Ware, I loved his permanent stuff. He moved in that starting lineup last season, but we saw Spoelstra's concern with it. He would start him, but play him 24 minutes, 25 minutes. And then we saw him get literally called out by name during Summer League and go, yeah, as I paraphrase, can this big ass just like try at some point, like put in some effort, my guy? That was basically Spoelstra saying, like, this lazy bum is doing nothing. And that was part of the criticism of Ware through college as well. Now, overall, Kel-el, Superman, had 9.7.5 rebounds, 1.1 blocks in 22 minutes. He shot 32 from 3. He was really good. He was almost a top 150 player in those limited minutes. And if he plays 30 minutes, he'll be a top 70 guy. But will he? Will he start? Will Jovic start? And then if Ware is coming off the bench, will he get all of the 4 and 5 minutes? Or is the signing of Achiuwa going to cut into that? So I'm a little bit concerned about where Ware and Jovic sit. And at the moment, when we're talking about Superman, like, he's got an ADP of 84 on Yahoo, 88 on ESPN, and like, I don't know about that. It requires him to get 26 minutes, 27 minutes consistently, and I'm just not sure about it. So if we see Jovic is starting, and because I just don't know about that, I'm having concerns about where to position Ware in drafts. Davion Mitchell's an interesting player. He was, I thought, terrible in Sacramento, somehow was worse when he was in Toronto, and then got to Miami and was the greatest shooter in the world. Now, we talk a lot, and I talk a lot, about fake numbers March and April, and don't get fooled by shooting bumps. Josh Giddey shot 46% from 3 in the second half of the season. Denny Avdia was way up in his shooting numbers. My projection for those guys this season does not have those shooting percentages of what they're going to do, but I'm still high on them for other reasons. Mitchell, I don't buy any of his shooting stuff from the end of last season at all. And given the arrival of Norman Powell, I was going to be very skeptical of what role he would have, because he would come off the bench and play like 34 minutes a night for Miami. In the end, he averaged 1 steal a game, 5 assists, 8 points in 27 minutes overall, which is not an insignificant amount of minutes. Now, though, with Herro out, Davion Mitchell has to be drafted in all drafts, because I'm pretty sure he will start and he will probably play 34 minutes a night until Tyler returns. The question then is, what do they do when Herro returns? Well, Herro will obviously start, but does Mitchell start and Powell goes to the bench? Or does Mitchell go to the bench, but does he still play those 35 minutes? Because I doubt it, because the way he was playing 35 minutes a night last season was Rozier would start, or Robinson would start, or Larson would start, and they'd play 20 minutes. And then Mitchell would come in. But if Powell is starting in front of him, Powell is not playing 20 minutes. And then you've got to find those other minutes for maybe Yakushonis, or maybe Smith, or Larson off the bench. So while I like drafting Mitchell early, getting some theoretically steals, good assists, maybe a little bit of a scoring bump. He would have usage of 14 last season, which is obviously horrendous. But if Herro's not there, someone's going to have to do more, although it'll be Powell and Bam and Wiggins most likely. Oh, that's why I lose my voice. But the question there on this projection is I think Mitchell's an absolute must-draft player, but I don't think he maintains the value as the season goes on. And that's going to tie into the third point of that is, what about Tyler Herro and when is he going to return? Because I expect he misses around the first month of the season, which pushes him from a top 40 player to me, maybe even top 30, to a guy that I won't take in the top 50 because it's surgery. It's lower body. So not only will he be out that time, but when he comes back, he'll probably miss some back-to-backs and he'll probably ramp up his minutes. Now, the minutes ramp up might take 10 days after he returns, but does he not play back-to-backs until January after ankle surgery? Or maybe he's just fine and good to go after that. And it is always a risk taking someone on a surgery who's not ready to start the season, because that timeline might push out even further. So I would not touch Herro in the top 50. and he was a really strong 3rd round or 4th round target for me. But his return obviously impacts what everyone else does, because with him out, Bam does more. More usage, more assists for Bam. Mitchell does more minutes. Everybody else has to do more. The Spo roulette wheel is also a question for this team, because we know that Erik Spoelstra is going to move guys around. So will he start Ware and then bench him in second half? So will he start Jovic and then get sick of that after a week and then put Ware into the starting lineup? Will he decide that Jaquez is going to play the 4, or Wiggins is the 4 and it's small ball, and Larson's starting at the 3? So does Jovic, Ware, Larson, Jaquez, Rozier, all these guys, Fontecchio, rotate through every 2 weeks to find roles? I think possible. And can Bam Adebayo handle the number 1 role? Or will he even be given the number 1 role? Will it be Norman Powell, who has the number 1 role early in the season? I think overall it will probably be Bam, given who he is, and Norman Powell has zero ability to pass, and Bam can. But what if Bam can't handle that? What if his defense falls off? His defensive focus is also completely different now to what it used to be, considering he used to block some shots. Now he doesn't even try to do that. He's a positional defender who's more a steal generator, who's a higher usage player with passing and 3-point shooting. But there's a chance that him in this role, when normally he'd play alongside Herro and Jimmy, he doesn't do that. He doesn't handle that, and his defense falls even further. And his efficiency falls down. And all those things, I think, are legitimate concerns with drafting Bam Adebayo. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I think Bam is pretty solid in that 3rd round range. But they are concerns, because it's, especially to begin the season, it's a little uncharted territory-ish. We'll come back and talk about undervalued and overvalued guys for the Miami Heat. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. And 5 Hour Energy wants you to know that caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee. And lucky I didn't read that as 12 Oz cup of coffee, because Oz is one of the dumbest abbreviations for ounce that I could ever imagine. Not quite as bad as pounds, but it's there. 5 Hour Energy's also got B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. And you know what they're like. They're portable. It's not carrying a big can around, a big bottle. It's a tiny little shot of that energy and caffeine that you need. The flavor is great. Don't worry about boring, flavorless caffeine. You've got it now with the 5 Hour Energy shots. So, time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites that you love, or be bold, and try something new in-store and online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. We are talking Miami Heat upcoming season, undervalued, overvalued players, projections, and how we can look at these rotations shake out. Let's go into taking a look at some undervalued guys on this squad, from given where their ADPs and ranks sit. Also, I'm sure you're aware, Yahoo did another update to their overall X rank, so I am using the updated Yahoo ranking numbers when looking at all this stuff. I think Andrew Wiggins at the moment is a little bit underrated. Now, he has historically not been a great fantasy player. He's had iffy percentages, sometimes lack of trying in certain categories, steals, blocks, rebounds, assists. But again, the Herro absence, I think, bumps his usage up early on. He's going to score pretty well. Last season, he was like a steal and a block sort of a player. Hopefully, he tries a little bit more with his rebounding. But at the moment, Wiggins sits with a Fantrax ADP at 118. To me, that's thievery. That's unbelievable theft to get him at that spot. I think he's a top 90-ish guy head-to-head categories. I think he's a top 80 points league player. And in Yahoo points at the moment, he's got an ADP of, or Yahoo just in general, ADP of 101. He's not sexy. I mean, he's not an objectively ugly person, but he's not a sexy fantasy player. But also, while it is true that hitting on upside, hitting on guys who beat draft position by 40, 50 spots is a pretty foolproof method to win, you can't do that at every pick. You got to hit a couple of these guys, but at some point, you've got to have a guy that, hey, I took Wiggins at 90, he finished 75th, massive dub. Very happy with that. Don't really see there's any risk of someone taking his role. There has been rumors he's part of a trade going to the Lakers. I don't think that's happening at all. So I just think he's got value there. I think Norman Powell's a little bit underrated in certain spots as well. Especially now that there is that injury. He's on ESPN categories. He's ranked 113 and ADP of 130. Yahoo was always a little bit too high, I thought, early on Powell. But again, the changes, or not even the changes, but the injury news on Herro means that you can go a little bit earlier on Powell, because we detailed with Herro earlier, once he is out, then he will come back and it'll be a slower build. So he might miss 6 weeks, let's say. Might be 4, might be 5, might be 6. But then there's another 2 on top of that of getting back to form. And that gives you a pretty good run at Norman Powell. Powell averaged 22 points a game last season. He hit 42 from 3 and 48 from the field. Now, he is an excellent three-point shooter. That could easily be 40% or 42. Cool, whatever. He had a 27 usage. It probably won't be that number all season, but it might be 28 usage for the first 2 months of the year. And he doesn't do anything else. Like the rebounds, assists are putrid. The steals are okay. And he hit a lot of threes. And he had that hamstring at the end of the season, which they horribly managed. But at the moment, like at 113, I think if it was before the Herro injury news, I would have said that's okay. But now, like he's ranked 80th for ESPN points, which is maybe a little bit too high. But now I think that is pretty good value for Norman Powell. And the other guy to take a look at on this list of undervalued guys is someone we've talked about a lot and seems to be somewhat of a fulcrum for how this rotation could look. But little Chungus, Nikola Jovic, who on Fantrax for category leagues, he has an ADP of 566 for some reason. I don't really know what's going on there. Yahoo's got him ranked at 216. ESPN points has got him at 231. ESPN categories got him 262. And I'm not even suggesting that he's a guaranteed must-roster player. I don't think that he is. Jovic, last season in 25 minutes, he was under 20 usage. He averaged 11 points with 4 rebounds. The threes were nice, but there's no defense there. He's a solid enough passer, but they're not great numbers. His points league value is not super strong. But, I think maybe top 150 for him, which is late round flyer type. And normally I don't talk about in undervalued players, guys that are late round flyer types. But when you've got an ADP of 560, I'm going to bring it to your attention because if you're drafting on Fantrax, that's a long scroll to find him. And you should be doing it, at least in something that goes slightly deeper to be able to just get that name in there. And I do think that he is, again, being undervalued at the moment, little Chungus. I've mentioned this one already as a overvalued guy, and it is Superman as much as I don't want it to be. I think the current positioning of where his ADP is 84 and rank is 85 on Yahoo is too high. And in a points league, I think around 100 is right. In a category league, around 100, 110 is fine. An ESPN category league has him 130. That's too low. But again, the uncertainty of what is he going to do? 26 minutes? 30 minutes? 30 minutes, actually fine with it at 80. That's fine for Ware. But I don't know about that. I don't think, given how Spoelstra used him last season, how Spoelstra called him out in the preseason, given Jovic's solid play overseas in Eurobasket as well, like another option for them. Yeah, he's got maximum, let's say, 15 minutes a game behind Bam, and then you need 10 minutes at power forward, which you might get. You could easily get 10 minutes there, but you also might not, because they might push Wiggins up to get more Huckers or Larson or whatever it is into the lineup. So I like Ware. He can easily beat the top 80. There's no question about that. But the certainty that I'd like to have around that spot, if I'm picking him in the 80s, which is like round 7, it's basically the middle of your draft in a 12-teamer, I don't have that certainty. And what is his upside to beat it? Well, we all have opportunities to beat it, but can you beat that ADP? Can you get ahead of that by 10 spots? Because there's multiple ways to look at this. And I know sometimes you'll think that I'm being contradictory. If I'm picking him at that rank of 85 on Yahoo, I want to feel really confident that he is going to be at 85. I want to feel really confident. Or the other side of it is, if I'm picking him at 85, I want to feel really confident there's top 40 upside in it. And I don't think either of those things are true. Like if I'm picking, for example, go back to Andrew Wiggins, who's got a rank of 93 and ADP of 101. If I pick Wiggins at that spot, do I think that he's going to break through that and be a top 60 guy? Not really. But I also feel very confident he's going to be in that area. Like, I don't really think that he's going to miss that by 40 and go be 140th best player. If I take Ware at 80, he might be the 110th best guy. He might be a top 60 player, but I don't think he can actually beat it up to top 45. And that's it. So, like, is there enough upside in that pick? Or is there enough safety in the pick? And if neither of those are there, then I don't want to do it. And that's why I'm a little bit down on Ware at that spot. Now, if I'm picking Ware at 100, then there is enough upside in that pick to make the selection. And even the downside puts him at like 130 maybe. So it's not as bad. And that's, I think, a good way of looking at it. When you're talking about, do I take a player here? Does this make sense? There's got to be two ways to do it. You've got to have confidence that the median outcome is around that mark. Or you've got to have confidence that if the upside hits, you will smash it through by 40, 50 spots. Because they're the two good results. You don't want it to be, well, if he beats it, it's by 10. And I don't even think he's got a good chance of beating it or even hitting this mark on a median outcome. They are bad results. And that's sort of where I'm thinking with Ware sitting at 83. Now, if they come out and say, yeah, he's starting playing 30 a night, then all bets are off. All right, because the uncertainty is removed. And we have an idea of where Ware sits in their pecking order and how we can have more confidence in the floor that he will provide to us in that spot. And I hope all of that makes sense. I think it does. But I hope it makes sense to you in terms of how we look at this stuff. Because, yeah, Kel-el might be a top 60 player. But is 15 spots or 20 spots of value enough when the floor is not actually supporting you? Don't think so. We'll come back, talk about stars and breakouts and injuries and all that stuff. Today's episode, though, is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, you pick that bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use right across the app. You can build parlays with it. You can use it on player props. You can use it on live lines during the games. You can bet the Major League Baseball playoffs. Padres going to Wrigley Field. Can we sweep the Cubs? Can we beat the Cubs? Can we win the World Series? I hope so. You can put all those bets on at FanDuel. Use your bonus bets to do it as well. Plus all of the NFL week-by-week action, NBA futures, awards. It's all there on FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com right now to download the FanDuel app and get started. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. So we are, of course, talking about the Miami Heat and their value for this upcoming season for fantasy basketball. We've talked about over and undervalued guys. So now let's have a look at the guys that I think have star upside on this squad. I've talked a little bit about Tyler Herro already and the fact that he's injured to start the season. But Bam Adebayo is someone that, I don't know, he's an interesting player. I think both Herro and Bam are the two top 50 chances on this team. Bam's one of these guys that, and as the time of me talking here, speaking, I've got him queued up in one of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl drafts. I'm one pick away, and it's at pick 28 for me. And I do have Bam in my queue. I don't know whether I'm going to get him there. It might seem a little early. What's Bam's rank is 40 on Yahoo, ADP 30 on Fantrax, 35 rank on ESPN. So it's not that early, I guess. But also, I'm not really certain that there's huge upside in Bam. He averaged 18 and 10 last season with 0.7 blocks, which is putrid for a center. But he did get 4.3 assists, and he did shoot 36 from 3, including, I think, 39 over the second half of the season. And that's on 24 usage. He's 28. He played 34 minutes a night. And I think start of the season, that usage might be 25. The assists might be 5.2. The scoring might be 21 points, at least until Herro comes back. And no Jimmy all season. And I think Jimmy being there last season really screwed Bam. And as soon as Jimmy was gone, he was a different sort of Bam arrived. So in round 3 for Adebayo, I'm very much on it. That's totally good. If you wanted to sneak him to the back of round 2, I can understand why you would. I don't think I would do it, but I can understand why you would. And to me, his category value and his points value, whether it's Yahoo, ESPN, or category leagues, I think it's all about the same. It's all in that third round area. I've mentioned Herro a lot with that surgery. I would have loved that he was available to go because he was fantastic last season. We might as well have a bit of a look at what Herro did last season. I would have taken Tyler Herro at the back, at the turn of round 2-3 in a 12-10 league. 24 through, it picked 23 through to 30, anywhere there. Herro now, though, has dropped. Ranked at 79 on ESPN for category leagues, 70 for Yahoo, 60 in points leagues. The injury is playing a factor in that. And I think that's reasonable. I'm okay. It depends what else I've done with other picks in my draft. If I grab Jaren Jackson, who's also out to start the season, then I'm going to be a little concerned about taking Herro. If I've added Embiid or Kawhi or Ball or Zion or Morant or any of these guys, I'm going to have a little bit more concern about taking someone that's hurt. But Herro at 70 could easily deliver you top 25 in the fantasy playoffs. Easily. And you look at what he did last season. 24 points with 5.5 assists, and that's with Jimmy there for half the year. He also shot 47 from the field, and he has never been that guy. But part of the reason he was able to do it, 38 on threes, but he changed his shot diet. At the rim, 3-pointers. Didn't take as many mid-ranges. And converted them at better rates. Always an elite free throw guy. And I think there is, I would have thought there was another level for Herro this season. But now it's a bit worrying. If I can get him in the 50s, 60s, 50s maybe not. I'm a little worried about the surgery. 60s, yeah, I probably will take that chance on him. Because it is possible in the 60s that anyone else you grab there could just be terrible and be the 100th best player. And very few of those guys have top 25 upside, which I think Herro does. And that's a little bit of that difference there for me with him. The new arrivals on this team, there's not that many. Norman Powell, we spoke about already. He comes over in that trade where they gave up nothing. Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love. Simone Fontecchio comes over in the sign-and trade of Duncan Robinson. He'll be a bench piece. He'll be a key three-pointers stream guy for category leagues during the season. In the first round, they drafted Kasparas Yakushonis, who I think will be terrible as a rookie. He is a rookie point guard. He will have opportunities early on with Herro out, and I think he'll be bad. He'll have a million turnovers. I think his shooting will be bad. His assists should be okay, but he is not. I don't care that Herro is out to start the season. I do not believe we should be drafting Yakushonis to begin the season, and I don't think anyone's really doing that. And I think that most times he just won't be playing in the rotation to begin. Well, you'll have Mitchell, you'll have Herro, you'll have even Drew Smith as potentials to use there. So I don't think he's going to be playing much. And then you got two-way guys, rookie Vlad Golden and Myron Gardner. Gardner's more of a wing, Golden's a center, who was shaping up to be their backup center, honestly, if they were going to start Ware. But now they do bring in Achua. And I actually forgot to put Achua on the new arrivals list. My bad. He should be on this list as well. So Precious arrives there. And of course, we're not drafting Precious. He's a bad real-life player. He's a bad fantasy player who needs incredible minutes and usage bumps to even sniff relevancy. And he might get that at times due to injury on this team. But the way that things currently stand, he will not. I think there are 3 guys who we can consider breakout chances. Where? And you might think, again, I don't think this is contradictory to what I said before, but it is very possible he is a huge breakout guy. But I don't know that. If they say, right, Kel-el, you're playing 32, get out there, forget about the kryptonite, just cook, right? Then yeah, he is a top 50 player. But what are the chances of that? If Bam gets hurt, knock on wood he doesn't, but if he gets hurt, then and where is the starting center playing 35? Then yeah, easy. But all of the reasons that I stated before about Achua's arrival, about Jovic there, about Spoelstra and his sort of disdain at times for Ware, I don't think it's necessarily going to happen to the degree we need it to, but he's still got to be an option. And same as Jovic. What if, after Jovic has been shooting a little bit better, the defensive stuff is still bad, but he passes the ball well, he moves the ball well. What if the absence of Herro to begin the season, the no Jimmy Butler, the Eurobasket experience, he's like, what is year 4 now, Jovic, or year 3, year 4 or 5, it doesn't matter, right? What if he is the guy that says, right, I'm ready to go, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm playing 32 minutes, 15, 6 and 4.5 assists, maybe he sneaks to a steal. That's very good. That's very good. He's breakout opportunity as well, but I do think they're just going to be annoyingly in each other's way. And the last one is Mitchell. Now again, once Herro returns, I don't think that he will maintain 35 a night. I think that the shooting from last season from Davion was completely fake. He is not a good shooter. But what if he is now a 38% shooter from 3? That's great. I'd like to see some evidence of that outside of a 2-month run. But if he is a 33-minute-a-night guy and Powell's injury problems carry over, you get 7 assists, 1.5 steals, 2 threes, 15 points. Very low usage player, obviously. That's pretty good. I don't think that'll happen. I think there was a lot of mirageness to what Mitchell did last season. But there's a chance. There's a chance at something. Injuries heading into the year. Tyler Herro, again with the ankle surgery, and then Drew Smith tore his Achilles last season. The Heat love this guy. Before he tore his Achilles, he had moved into... Now, let me double check this actually, because I don't want to lie to you too much. I was going to say that he'd moved into the starting lineup, which is not exactly true. He started on the 21st of December, played 26 minutes. Drew Smith, he'd played... This was his game log, right? 6 games. 29, 26, 34, 31, 30, 26 minutes. He started one of those games, but he was playing a big role. He had, before he tore his Achilles, in the 3 games prior, 6, 2, and 4 steals. 12 steals in 3 games. Then, in that game against the Nets, he moved to the bench and he tore his Achilles after 7 minutes. But he was in the rotation. He came in halfway through the first quarter, played through, started the second quarter, got injured, season over. So he was in the good books. Now, again, he's returning off an Achilles. I think he's going to miss back-to-backs. He's going to be limited, but he is someone who they loved. The defensive pressure was great. He's had a few goes around with the Heat now as well, but just a name to watch that if you see him getting a role, don't be like, what is going on? Because he was doing that. He had that role last season before he got hurt. So it's not going to be completely out of the blue. Schedule-wise, there's honestly just nothing that exciting to talk about here. They've got 15 back-to-backs, the second most in the NBA, but nothing that's any major importance, no major playoff quirks or anything like that. So they're all pretty good there. And that is the Miami Heat. When we take a look at this team, again, Herro would have been a round 3 early guy to me. He's not now. In the 50s is the probably earliest I would go. Probably more 60s. Adebayo, easy third-round guy, all formats. Ware, if I can get him around 100, I like it. 80s, it's too much risk. Wiggins, undervalued. Powell, probably a little undervalued. Mitchell, love it as a late pick. Jovic, really like it as a late pick. And then there's not much else going on. Like I'm not looking at Rozier or Fontecchio or Jaquez or Larson or Yakichonis or any of these guys to pay attention to. But I think there's enough interesting things on this team that we can use. And obviously when it's the Heat, you know that little curveballs and random appearances from players crop up at any point. Remember to check out the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, Linktree/LOFB Bowl, QR code on the screen, links in the descriptions. Let's fill up that draft and stash, and then we'll see what else we can get rolling there as well. Subscribe on the YouTube channel, the audio side. Give it a hype on the YouTube mobile app if you are watching there. Also, guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.